What's going on, guys? So I am fighting a pretty severe case of bronchitis. I'm a week into this now, and believe it or not, I haven't filmed any content in the last week because I'm just now getting my voice back. That said, a lot of people are super concerned about tariffs and what that means in terms of all sorts of stuff, not just RV or truck related stuff or vehicles, but all sorts of stuff. And I wanted to talk to you all from a completely unbiased perspective. So when you watch this video, please keep in mind that I am not trying to pick a side. I am just trying to give you guys a common sense approach to a concern that I think is really, really valid, regardless of what side of this you're on. If you're for tariffs and you think that that's going to be the best path for us moving forward, I think you'll still agree with this. If you're against tariffs and you think that that's destroying the country, then I think also you'll still agree once you watch this video. Hang tight. I'll be right back. So it is an incredibly windy day out here, and like I said, incredibly windy. We're seeing like 30-40 mile an hour winds. It's almost like tropical storm winds. But I'm out here to talk about this because this is something that's going to impact a lot of things you potentially are purchasing. And I want you to at least think about this topic. I think this is going to be very, very common sense for most folks, but it's something that you may not be thinking about. And if you haven't been thinking about it, you should definitely put this on your radar. And that is, are tariffs really going to raise the price of products, or are the quality of those products going to come down? That is the main question you should be asking yourself. I say that because there are so many products, even in the RV, automotive, electronic technology space, that tariffs will be impacting. And people automatically will assume, well, that TV that I want to buy, or that replacement air conditioning unit that I want to buy, or that door lock I want to buy, or that hitch I want to buy, or that leveling system, or jack, or coupler, all sorts of different things. They're going to think, well, this stuff is going to get a bit more expensive in response to the tariffs because it costs more to ship that stuff over here now, because there's a fee that's assessed on that product. So, right, if it's a 20, 30, 40% fee, is that going to equate to a hitch or an air conditioning unit or a TV or a number of things going up by that same percentage? And that's not necessarily what's going to happen. I think personally, this is my own personal opinion, I don't think you're going to see a huge spike in pricing. I think you might see a small marginal spike in pricing, but what I think could end up happening is that the quality of the products could be decreasing significantly. What do I mean by that? Why would I say that? Well, let's just say that I am a manufacturer here in the United States, that I outsource all of my manufacturing to China, or I outsource it to some other country. And the tariffs now, let's just say that they're between 20 and 30 to 40%, are going to truly impact my business, because everything I buy comes from overseas. I don't manufacture any of it here. Perhaps I just have an office here and that's it. So I basically order from some factory overseas and they produce my product for me. They might produce it to my specifications, but they produce it for me. They manufacture, build it, put all of it together and send it here. I feel as if companies that are doing that are likely having conversations with those manufacturers saying, how do we reduce the cost of manufacturing down 20, 30, 40% to be able to not have to worry so much about price increase and not have these tariffs impact us so much? And what I'm concerned with is when we talk about things that perhaps have a certain grade of steel or aluminum, or have a certain thickness of plastic, or a certain UV resistance to that plastic, or certain life kind of built into them because of how they're built, you might see the quality of those products drop off significantly. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, RV components necessarily have never really had great quality to them. So what's going to change? Well, that's the fear I have. Is a light like this going to stay the same price, but the LEDs inside of it are going to be a lower quality? The plastic is going to be less resistant to UV. The material won't hold up as well over time. Maybe where they're using aluminum in there now, they're going to switch to plastic. Maybe instead of having a really good seal, they're going to go to a cheaper material. That's the thing that concerns me. Things cosmetically on the outside might look identical, They may not look like they've changed at all, but the components that make up these things, are they going to reduce the quality of those components? So whatever you're buying, it's still going to look the same. It's going to kind of feel the same. It's going to have the same overall appearance to it, but the quality of it is going to drop off significantly in order to absorb the new higher price that they have to pay in terms of tariffs. That is what's concerning to me. I feel as if you might see small little marginal increases in price. I do think that things are going to go up in price a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be equal to the percentage that these manufacturers and these exporters and importers are now going to have to pay in terms of additional fees. And my fear is that companies in the US aren't going to pivot to a company in the US that can manufacture a product. They're going to have renegotiated conversations with the foreign companies that they're buying these products from, because in many cases, this foreign company has all of the design rights. They have all of the contracts. They have all of the materials, everything they need to produce a certain product, whether it be an air conditioning unit, whether it be a tire, whether it be a staircase or a lock or a window or a light bulb or a TV or a stove, microwave, all of these things that are manufactured overseas that just aren't really manufactured here in the States. We don't have the factories to build them, readily available to build them. I feel as if the contract negotiations are going to be huge to say, how do we absorb the cost of these tariffs? And then the manufacturers overseas are going to say, well, we could switch from this type of plastic to that type of plastic. We could switch from this type of aluminum to that type of aluminum. Or we could switch from this type of aluminum to that type of plastic. Or we can switch from this type of wire to that type of wire. There's a lot of cheaper ways of doing things that just aren't introduced in the manufacturing process, because manufacturers try to minimize warranty claims. They try to minimize complaints and repairs. I feel as if manufacturers are going to look for a way to reduce how something is manufactured versus raise the price of what's manufactured. And they might raise the price a little bit, but again, I feel these contracts are going to be super renegotiated, and what concerns me is when you look at products that have a reputation of quality, but that are manufactured overseas. There's a lot of super high-end hitch manufacturers that actually manufacture their hitch overseas now. And are they simply going to say, well, let's change the chemistry in the alloys that we're using a little bit. It'll reduce the price. Let's maybe shave a little material off here. It will reduce the price. Let's move from perhaps a solid material to a hollow material. That'll reduce the price. Let's find ways to produce the same product in the same type of factory, but at a reduced cost, with quality possibly coming down or material possibly coming down, to where you, again, as a consumer, may not know, but you may find out when something fails earlier than it's supposed to, or something breaks sooner than you might ever anticipate that it would break. Brands like Gen Y, Shocker, B&W, Anderson, these are all brands that have pretty much done all of their manufacturing here in the United States. They purchase steel from companies that supply it to them in the United States. And brands like that, I think, are going to do very well during these tariffs. I think they will perform better than they ever have, because they're not going to have to make huge changes to the process behind what they're doing, because they've already established themselves with their supply chains, everything that they're doing here in the States. And arguably, they could even raise the cost of their product technically, because they now have more of a reason to do so. But all that said, I think that most people are probably going to agree, because it's common sense, that manufacturers will try to mitigate cost increases by probably reducing some of the costs it takes to manufacture the product that they're going to continue to manufacture overseas. And I hope that that's not the case. I would rather see the prices go up, but the quality at least stay consistent, versus them reevaluating quality in terms of keeping costs low. Wow, so I'm actually surprised I was able to make it through all of that without having a coughing fit, which I just had off camera. That said, guys, please drop a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you agree, disagree, or indifferent to my my theory here and how you feel about it. Are you going to reevaluate what you're shopping for? Are you going to look closer to see if changes have been made and if reduction in quality is something that is actually taking place? In some cases, manufacturers will avoid this by simply buying more. So they'll buy a lot more to be able to negotiate the price down, and that might be their way of offsetting it as well. But I'm going to be really surprised to see what those changes are, because changes are definitely coming. And again, regardless of what side of this you're on, you have to be careful, because even if you support the tariffs or you're against the tariffs, you have to realize that this could impact things you're buying. Guys, if you haven't had a chance, please take a moment, drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, and we'll talk to you again very soon.